Welcome. I have no feed over here yet. Waiting on that. I think I've clicked my browser 3 times. So, browser just opened up. So maybe in the next few minutes we'll have that. Let's see. So, how are y'all doing? Good morning. Good morning. As soon as this pops up, I'll see chat. Uh, let's see. What do we start with? No, the DC Extended Universe movie that I watched this week, Shazam. I really enjoyed Shazam. I The only fault that I have with the movie, and it's just a small opinion, was I didn't care for the scene when the seven deadly sins killed the board or whoever they were supposed to be representing, the vice presidents or advisors or top leaders of the company that they went to and killed everyone. I thought that was a little excessive for something that appeared to be geared towards a younger audience. I thought that was probably a little more excessive than it should have been. I don't think it should have been that scary. It wasn't scary to me, and like I said, I may be a little hypersensitive and over emphasizing the part, but it's literally the only thing I had any fault with the movie. I thought it was cute. I thought it was really good story. I thought uh, the ending was really cute, and I surely didn't expect like the very ending. I I saw the ending coming, but I surely didn't expect the very ending. So it was really a good movie, really cute movie, and I really enjoyed it. It was really a good movie. Um, I might even go as far as to say that it might be the best DC Extended Universe movie that I've seen so far. And now I have to watch Birds of Prey is next. Evidently, it's another Harley Quinn movie. So this is what her second movie, right? And then Wonder Woman 84, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League, and followed up with the new Suicide Squad. And that'll be all the DC Extended Universe. I've pre ordered my ticket to Dune, and I've pre ordered my ticket to the Eternals. So I've got those coming up. But no, I really enjoyed Shazam. Really enjoyed Shazam. And I was also almost expecting them to call him Captain Marvel at one point. Because, of course, as you know, he is also known as Captain Marvel. I didn't know anything about Shazam. Well, that's not true. I knew a little bit about Shazam. I knew that he was kind of a Superman ripoff, and I appreciated the scene that they did because, if I remember correctly, the first Shazam comic was the same as the first Superman comic in regards to Superman hoisting a car over his head, and I felt that they did an homage of that scene in the movie, and I appreciated that. And I enjoyed the humor in it. I thought it was written well as far as that goes. Um, but I did not know that there evidently six other Shazams, more or less. So that was nice to see. I really enjoyed that portion of it, and I thought that the actors that played those adult versions of the kids did a real good. I love Darla. Darla was the cutest thing in the world, and then of course when she became the Shazam Darla, just as cute. Really enjoyed that. But I thought the show was really good. And if you haven't seen it, go see it for fact. Rent it, whatever. Watch it on HBO Max. However you can get a hold of it. I don't believe you'll be disappointed at all in Shazam. I watched the last What If. I don't think there's any more What Ifs. Um, So the last one that I watched was what if the Watcher um, intervened, more or less, because that was the whole thing with the Watcher, was that he couldn't intervene. He watched only. So what is wrong with this? I've got a menu open that I can't exit out of. There we go. Toy Mafia, how you doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Jake, good morning. Forgive me for not being able to read your name. Willie Woodson, how are you? Agarancis, hello. I'm excited to hear everyone's thoughts on Sylvie and Loki. I ordered them. I ordered 2 each. I didn't think they were too bad. I'm happy to see that they're under $300. I mean, gone are the days of the $100 hot toy figures, evidently. That was a very long time ago. And then, we were lucky to get them for under $200. So now to happily see a figure that's under $300. Oh, Jesus. I mean, what can you do? I hope that they make, whether it be Hot Toys or Susu Toys or anybody, I hope they make the entire Loki collection, or at least the 10 or so that we've seen in the episode where they had a president Loki, more or less, and we got to see all these other Lokis. I'd like to see that. I would very happily buy that entire collection of those Loki. I really would. I hope that somebody makes those. And I'm happy to see Sylvie. Don't remember, did she come with a helmet also? Her little broken horn crown or helmet that she had as well? I don't remember. But I ordered both of those. Got a letter from, I think it was Alter Ego Toys, saying that they had to change their policy on selling Hot Toys figures. Sideshow contacted them and said, you're in violation of prices or something to that effect in regards to how they were offering them to the customers. So they said, moving forward, this is going to be that. I think they said there's not going to be any backwards requirement, but it's definitely not going to be the same price as what their figures were beforehand. So if you buy from Alter Ego, you more than likely got that same letter in the mail from them. Let's see what else. I guess that's about all I got going on. Got 2 packages that came in today. CBS Sci-Fi, how are you doing? Damon Zapp, hello, good day. Yes, hello, hello, hello. So I got 2 boxes came in. This one's from Big Bad Toy Store. So it's more than likely a clothing outfit that I bought. And this one is from Big Bad Toy Store. Probably Bison's. Feels pretty heavy. Let's get to the small one first. Birds of Prey. Rosie Perez and Margot whoever. Rosie's been a hit or miss actress for me as far as I'm concerned. Either she does a good job or she doesn't. I've not heard good or bad about Birds of Prey. So it sounds like it's going to be like a all-female version of Suicide Squad. I don't know what I think about that. Very cool fashion dress, black. So I have a lot of figure clothes for figures. My wife, she enjoyed her dolls. She enjoyed her figures. So I don't know. I have a lot of figures here that could use some dressing. So maybe I'll start putting some of them together. Just have a Feisen Jowl doll shelf or something. I don't know. Very Cool seems to make some pretty nice outfits. If you see that name, I've never really been disappointed. High heel sandals, and looks like a long sleeve dress. Yep, long sleeve dress. Close some of these notifications. Birds of Prey was so much fun. What a great movie. All right, I'm going to hold you to that, Damon. I'm going to hold you to that. It better be a great movie after you told me that. Watch out. I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts on Birds of Prey. So for your I need my glasses to be able to see far away. I don't think I have my reading. I don't think I have my reading glasses. I don't have my far away glasses. I really need to do some work in this house and make a new room. Here are your thoughts on Birds of Prey. So far, your tastes run close to mine, and I have not seen it. Okay? Yeah. Damon, we need more empowerment for young women. We do, but not at the expense of men. So, for instance, in the last Star Wars movie, every woman in that movie only got to their position because they had to belittle or destroy a man. And that isn't reality. A woman should be able to make it on her own merit. And never in my lifetime have I ever had a female boss that didn't deserve to be there. I've had many women who were bosses of mine who I 100% respected because they were in that position because they deserved it. Okay? And I don't think that any one of them had to belittle a man or had to step on a man's manhood in order to be put into that position. They worked just as hard as anybody else to get to where they were. And I have a hard time believing that society in this United States is still as backward as it was in the 60s and the 70s, where women were not given the same opportunity as women are now. Yeah, there are some bad people out there that still treat people wrongly, but not society as a whole. So if I'm having to sit through a movie and the only way that this person got here was belittling a man or stepping on him and taking away his masculinity, not because she was smarter or more capable or more educated or more knowledge in her field, but because literally she had to step on him and belittle him to get to her position, I got a problem with that. I was never disrespected by any woman I ever worked for. I've had probably just as many female bosses as I've had male bosses in my lifetime. And I feel that every one of them treated me as fair as they did anybody else. Just as every man boss I've ever had has always treated me as fair as everyone else. So whenever a movie feels that they have to empower a woman into a position at the expense of a man, I have a problem with that. I really do. Yeah, there are bad people out there. And if you're working for a bad person, then that's on you. There's a lot more jobs out there. Leave the bad guy and go work someplace else, or woman, and go work someplace else. What was that movie, Horrible Bosses? I forget who the actresses and the actors were in it. And it was about a bunch of guys that had these horrible female bosses. There are horrible people no matter who they are. So I'm very proud. For instance, Wonder Woman, great movie. Oh my God, what a powerful character she's playing. You know what I mean? She is, I would say, pretty doggone close to being as powerful as Superman. Pretty doggone close to being as powerful as Superman. I think that's a great character and did a good job. And I don't feel for one second that Wonder Woman became as powerful as she is because she had to step on somebody, you know, or that she had to be given a leg up, or that she had to be put into her position, you know, based specifically on her gender or whatever. You know, she deserved that. Simple as that. And that's how you tell a proper story. You don't need to tell a story that the only way this woman got here was because she had to belittle a man. If a man got into a position because he had to belittle a woman, that's a pretty terrible person. The street goes both ways. And yeah, there are some terrible people out there. Okay? I don't need to be educated about that. I don't need to be told that there's terrible people. I know a lot of terrible people. But they don't represent the whole of us. So yeah, I have no problem with anybody's story being a story of empowerment. Okay? As long as it has nothing to do with the belittlement of a specific person or groups of people in order for you to get there. If that's the only way that you got into your position, then you're a bad person. You really are. No ifs, ands, about it. No matter who it is or whatever it is. And you can't look backwards in time either and judge somebody for something that happened. I'm not talking about committing a crime, but I'm talking about thoughts or political climbs or whatever. Because believe it or not, there were times where legally slavery was legal. So to say, well, all these people were horrible people for owning slaves. Slavery has been an issue from day one on this planet. All right? Whenever people recognize that there's a problem, you can do your best to fix the problem yourself. You know, look in the mirror and make the change. Okay? And be that right example, or run for office to make that change or whatever in that regards. But then don't turn around and say all those people were bad because the climb of things were that way. So it's like going back and looking at a movie from the 80s and judging its special effects based off of what's available to be done today. Going back and looking at a movie from the 50s and judging its special effects by what things are today. You can't do that. You can look at things in the past and say, yeah, that was pretty fucked up or whatever. You know, gosh, it sure would have been nice if they could have animated King Kong a little bit better than they did in that movie that was made back in the 50s or 40s or whenever the hell the original King Kong was made, 30s, I have no idea. Well, golly, that was the best that they had at that time. If you're going to judge it by your knowledge on today, yeah, you can't do that. You can't watch an old movie and think, oh, well, that's animation choppy and it looks like hell, and I don't know why they didn't get their computers out and start digitizing that using, all of the software that's available by today. My goodness, things look realistic. That didn't even look halfway real. They look like a total fake. Yeah, well, that was the best that they had back then. There's a reason why it's history. You can't change history, but what you do is you don't forget history so that you don't repeat it. You remember your history. You remember what you look back and say, that was pretty fucked up how things were back then. You don't go back to that. You can't necessarily judge how things were back then with today's glasses. Hindsight is 20/20, 100%. Like when you get involved in a car accident, you can sit there and look through it, or if you break up with a loved one, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, you're no longer dating them anymore. You can look back and say, well, that was pretty messed up to how I treated that person, or that was pretty messed up how that person treated me, or that was wrong of me not to look left before turning right, and that's how I got involved in that accident, or whatever. You can't change it. But by golly, the next time you get to that street corner, you're going to look left before turning right. Next time you get involved with somebody, you're not going to say the messed up things that you said to them, to the last person you were involved with. You'll stop talking to them in that manner if that's what caused you to lose your relationship. But you're not going to undo that car accident. You're not going to undo everything that you said to that person or was said to you in that relationship. You take the history that you lived and you say, well, that was fucked up. I'll make sure I don't do that again. And that's what we need to do. You can't look at things with 20/20 vision to the past and change it. You can't change the past. You can just make sure that the future doesn't happen in the same manner. Now, I'm not talking about people that commit crimes. You can't say, oh, well, because it's the past, we can't hold that person accountable for a crime that they committed. If it was a crime then, and now it's not a crime now, for instance, California, you can pretty much smoke weed, do whatever you want. 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. It is now. Figure upgrade waiting room shelf. Yeah. Cat Rex is in love it. Oh, nice. God, sheesh. Stormtroopers. For real, I would be really curious to know exactly if someone were to buy every Stormtrooper that was ever produced, just one of each, from Sideshow, Hot Toys, and what was I forget the company that made the same boxes. The figures were pretty much the same as what Sideshow was making them before then. Military, so I forget what that was. But I'd be curious to know How many stormtroopers if you bought just one of each of all of those? And I'm not talking about just stormtroopers. I'm talking about any armored character from the Star Wars universe, be them from the um, uh, when the clones were made, through where the Emperor took over, any one of those. How many it would be? I'm probably guessing 200. I'm guessing 200. And what I find so interesting about that is people will complain about all the Iron Man figures that have been made. And there's only 85 of those, and they haven't even introduced from 51 to 84. We'll never know what those were. And there's only been, X number of such and such. So best case scenario, you're looking at maybe 100 Iron Man figures total. If you were to count every Iron Man figure that was made 1/6 scale by Hot Toys, because really that's it. I guarantee it's not as many stormtroopers as there are. I've never heard anybody complain about stormtroopers. Oh my God, they're making another stormtrooper. No, you never hear that. You do hear all the time. What, another Iron Man? Come on, give us a break. Make something else. Another stormtrooper? Would you like that better? And I say that because I don't want to start collecting them, because I would. Ugh, I so would. I had one bad boss. She happened to be female, but her gender had absolutely nothing to do with her being a bad boss. At the same time, the best boss I ever had was also a woman. And that's been my experience too. I've either had bad people who were over me, or I had great people who were over me. And none of them ever was that way, in my opinion, because they were male or female. Just that's how they were. They were just a bad person. No matter what they identified themselves as, or what we perceived them to be, or what they resembled, either they were a good person or they were a bad person. Simple as that. There's no belittling men in this movie. Okay, good. For young female viewers, this movie would be great, and it's rated R. Oh, nice. I don't know if Deadpool was the first rated R superhero movie. I know that Hancock was very close to rated R if it wasn't. I enjoyed Hancock. I thought Hancock was a funny, good movie. And I don't know whether it was Deadpool or Hancock. That was probably the first rated R superhero movie per se. And I'm not talking about, off genre side characters that are so elusive that so exclusive that no one's ever even really heard of them in the first place. I'm talking about mainstream or popular characters that people would watch per se. I think for the most part they've always been PG to some degree, PG-13 or whatever. And I may be wrong here, and I'd be curious to see if anybody knows for fact. But I am happy that Deadpool did so well in the box office that they're no longer afraid to do that with a superhero movie, to make it adult oriented per se, and to be able to use the word fuck in the movie more than once if they wish. And it's really interesting to hear. I may have to go watch it this weekend. Yeah, I will definitely be watching Birds of Prey this week, and then we'll talk about that next week. And then Wonder Woman 1984, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then the 2021 Suicide Squad. And also somewhere in there, I'll be seeing Dune, and I'll be seeing The Eternals. I think Dune's one of them's in a couple of weeks. I don't remember. So Damon says the movie is extremely well directed, well acted, and so very colorful. And I'm looking forward to that. Robert, happy Saturday. Thank you. Anyone watching Chucky TV show? Oh, no. So we're talking Chucky, the little murdering doll. I have to check that out. A lot of boxes behind you. Yeah, most of them are Fison's Jow Dolls figures. I really, 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 really need to just spend time and getting this house into some type of something. You know, just haven't felt motivated to do anything. It's what's the living room is what I don't want to touch, and it really needs to be touched. It really needs to be gone through. You know, leaving it the way that it is, it was the way she decorated it and had everything in there for her per se. And so I need to acknowledge that it needs to be more practical for me without her. And it's just hard to grasp that. I know she's dead. I know she's not coming back. You know, but I don't know. I just don't want to touch her stuff. I need to, though. I need to. I need to. So let's open up this big box from Big Bad Toy Store. Let's see what's in here. I'm almost positive it's probably Fisons or Jow Dolls. It's heavy. And I'll probably need to do this this Joy, maybe get that Michelle set up there. So I wanted to display Michelle in two different or my Vision. Put the Halloween costume Vision together. So I bought two of those. Fisons it is. Got the SO9C, SO1A. So a lot of these I was just stocking up on all the different ones that I don't have for various reasons, for whatever reason that I need to put a figure together. At least I have them. Ordered two of these SO1As for some reason. So there must be something that I planned on using an SO1A for. Pale figure, medium bust. I wonder why I ordered two of those. S34. S33. B. S10B. SO2A. S25B. So this was S22A. So this must have been just like a refill. I don't know which ones I had anything planned for. What is the SO1A? Interchangeable foot. Medium breast. Pale. Who would that have been for? Was I planning on maybe doing that with the jowl? I mean, with my Joy? I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember. S10D, you can't go wrong with S10D. A lot of figures will work with an S10D. S10D is the pale large breast interchangeable. And the S12 is the suntan of the same thing. 10 and 12 are good standbys. Large breast. Was SO1A for Joy? I'm wondering. Let's get this SO1A open and see what we got going on there. No, she's not Mary Jane. That's a lot of Fisons. I have a lot more Fisons. I have. Let me show you. I think I've got every one that you could buy. That's a whole stack of Fisons right there. And more there. And of course, there's the Chow dolls, including those. And those are new wave figures or arcade accessories. Whole Star Wars collection down here that needs to be unboxed. Whole bunch of Star Wars right there. And over here are figures that have to be opened up. But no, I just don't have the room for anything in here anymore. All my wife's clothes right there. I need to donate those. I just... You know, it's tough. It's really tough. And this has just become a pile over here. A couple things have toppled over, so I need to get all that taken care of. But yeah, I'm just in over my head, I guess I would say. In over my head. I need to stop and collect my thoughts. This charger plug back in. Stop and collect my thoughts. But no, really what I need to do is empty the computer room up of her stuff. Empty the living room up of her stuff. Get rid of all the kitchen gadgets that I'll never use that she used. I just don't want to do any of that. I really don't. I just don't want to do any of that. So what was the SO1A again? It was a pale, medium breast, interchangeable foot. Let's see how it looks with this Joy. Yeah, I sure could. Could build a whole army, no doubt about it. Pack rat. A whole bunch of Fison female warriors, right? Thanks, CBS Sci-Fi. Thanks. Amazons. So I think what I didn't enjoy on this Jow figure was that her breasts seemed to be probably larger than I really wanted them to be. And that might have been why I got these SO1As. I want to look at the skin tone of her. this, if I remember correctly, is a Jow doll. And I need to find a seamless of this. Seamless foot of this, which I've not been able to find. But this skin tone is real close to the head. So I'm really pleased with this Joy. I just would like to find the seamless foot of this, which I've not found yet. So I want to see here. I don't know. I'm just assuming here. This is why I bought this. I don't know. No, I don't like that skin tone. It's not a match at all. Definitely not a match. Not real pleased with that one actually either, to tell you the truth. Blade Runner, Joy is who that is, if you didn't know. This also is Joy from Blade Runner. Yeah, no, that just doesn't work out. This skin tone's probably the closest. It's not dead on either, but probably the closest. Just need to find a seamless ankle. The F variant. Need to find a 05F YS. I think is what this needs to be from Jow Doll. So I don't remember what I got this for. No idea. She didn't come with interchangeable hands or anything. I mean, 2 hands that she has on, but no additional hands. So who was I using for Joy? Should have written down here. S35A, JQO5BYS was the interchangeable. So I need to find an 05YSF, an 05FYS. O5S. So if you find an O5S YS, and 2 of them, let me know. So Joy came with another outfit in this pile here. God. Michelle's outfits. Maybe I'll do my Michelle. Found her outfit pretty easy. Easy enough. Whose belt was this? It's Michelle's head. The other shirt. Vision's outfit. Halloween outfit. I don't see Joy's outfit. Let's do Michelle. We're not feisting her for a simple reason. There's just no need to. The figure she comes with is well enough. So, in reality, this figure's done. Oh, by the way, new Superman comic coming out, right? Son of Kal-El. And I guess they decided to explore his sexuality. I'm pleased that they're doing it in that manner, where they're making, you know, a new character with this attribute or trait, however you would say it, compared to deciding they want to rewrite an existing character. You know, so if they all of a sudden decided they were going to make Clark Kent a questioning individual in regards to his identity, I would have a problem with that. Why? That wasn't how he was made by the original artist. You know, leave it alone. But it's a new character. Go for it. Or alternate universe. Go for it. But don't be changing somebody's art, i.e. Star Wars. Where's my other Michelle at? Here she is. So this one we're going to make into this other alternate outfit. Xena Warrior Princess. Thank you, Damon. I've been getting 3-inch figures again, mainly Marvel Retro. Tired of Hot Toys prices. They just keep going up. Carnage, $510, right? Come on. Are you kidding me? $510. My God, he better be a damn good character figure for that. I mean, give me a freaking break. He better be a damn good character for that. $510. Talking about joy again. Good God. Thank you again. Yay. A figure with yellow coat standing next to you. Joy from the Blade Runner 2049. So, Blade Runner is one of my absolute favorite movies. And 2049 as well continued along with that story. If it's a movie that I have to explain to you after you watched it, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. The first movie was all about, more or less, the Tyrell Corporation had been making androids that were more human than human. And because these androids were better than humans, they had to put I think it was a 4-year lifespan on them to shut them down. They had a termination date where they just would not operate anymore. And this group of androids decided to seek God, more or less, to gain more life. And that's the struggle with every human. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants their life to end. Nobody wants everything that they've done to be lost in time, like tears and rain, right? So it was an interesting movie to see these individuals seek God to not end their life. And it asks a lot of questions. It makes you think about your own existence and where you are and why you are and what are you. And another thing that it really does is it makes you have to say to yourself, how do you know for fact? How do you know for fact that yesterday you were even alive? How do you know that? So in the first Blade Runner movie, when they would make these characters, they just started to develop their memories, more or less. And one of the replicants that they made were was given memories of a real person, and so she literally thought she was a real person. She didn't know she wasn't. So they don't tell you exactly how old she was in regards to the moment that they turned her on in the movie, um, but they didn't give her a termination date. And she literally thought she was a human being. And the knowledge of her finding out that she was nothing more than just a robot, a sum of her parts, and the struggle she went through with that when in her entire existence, however long it was, whether it was just yesterday and the movie was today, if they just turned her on yesterday and gave her all the memories up to yesterday, she had no knowledge that she wasn't a real human. How do you know that you're real? How do you know? Memories is all that we have. It's all we have. It's the sum of our parts. How do you know that they were yours? How do you know? How can you really truthfully say that you know for fact that you existed yesterday? You really don't. You really have no idea, no proof that you truly existed yesterday. You don't. I hate to tell you this. And so in the first Blade Runner, it was the plight of these replicants. More human than human was the Nexus Generation 6 by the Tyrell Corporation motto on the, holy goodness, just broke this arm, on the models that they offered. Son of a gun, just broke this arm, literally just broke this arm. Are you kidding me? That totally bites. Might be facing it now. Wow. Jeez Louise. So anyhow, in the second movie, not only did they then Are we dealing with androids, replicants as they were called in the movie, who were trying not to die? Now all of a sudden we have an artificial being, totally a hologram. And this hologram appeared to be portraying emotions for Agent K, for Joe, as she named him. And you then have to wonder to yourself the plight of this hologram, Joy. Was Joy really developing feelings? Tyrell was killed in the first movie. Wallace Corporation took over where Tyrell left off, and then started making holographic. Um, yeah, bad knee here. Loose knee. Started making holographic images, and you have to wonder to yourself, was she truly developing her own emotions for Agent K, or Joe, as she told him he should call himself? Or was it just a program? Was the emotions that she displayed towards K real, or just a program? And then on top of that, the question about the first movie as well was the Deckard character, played by Harrison Ford, was he a replicant? And there's many reasons why that became speculation in the movie for many of the 5 versions of the movie that they made. And I say 5 versions, it wasn't on purpose that they necessarily made 5 versions. So the first version, I think it's called Brown Eyes, is what people refer to it as, which was really an advanced screening to determine the audience feedback on the movie before they released it nationwide or worldwide. And so then they have that version. Then they had the American version, because Americans enjoy happy ending movies. And then they had the European version, because the Europeans are fine if it's not, if it didn't necessarily have a happy ending. So in the initial release of the movie, there was the movie that was the advanced screened movie, and then the movie was changed and turned into an American release and a European release. So right off the bat, you had 3 versions. And then you had the director's cut, which Ridley Scott went in and changed a lot of things. And it kind of, it did away with a couple of problems that the first movie encountered, and it added some scenes, but it's still didn't necessarily answer the question whether or not Deckard was a replicant. Okay. For instance, in the first 3 movies, when oh God, what's his name? The police officer over his division, Bryant. When Bryant had first told Deckard that there was replicants that had come back to Earth because they were illegal. They were banned from Earth. The replicant Nexus Model 6s were not allowed on Earth. They had to be off-world. They weren't allowed on Earth. It was illegal for them to be on Earth. They were terminated or retired if they were found on Earth. I think he said there were 6 of them that had broken out, and they were roaming the streets here. And one of them was fried on some electric fence or something, and which left 5. Well, we only saw 4. And so the question came about, was Deckard the 5th one? Because Bryant gives him this eye, this kind of this, I don't really trust you eye. I'm keeping my eye on you eye. And again, it's all about memories that were put into you. How do you even know that you existed yesterday? You know? And so that kind of started fueling the question about whether or not Deckard was a replicant. And then I forget the name of the other Blade Runner that was working with him, that was making the origami figures everywhere he went. And he made one for Deckard. And so in this movie, the director's cut, there was a unicorn scene that was put into it, which was evidently a dream that Deckard was having. And, you have to wonder, did he know that he was having this dream because it was a memory that was put into him? And so that question came about. And then the final cut was made, and they did a lot of editing changes to things and cleaned up a lot of things that just wasn't capable to be doing in the 80s. And they corrected a scene with one of the replicants being retired, where the stunt woman was used, and instead of the real actress, and it was just a terrible wig and the whole 9 yards, and very blatant that it was not the right person in the original movie. And then in the final cut, they kind of fixed all that. So that was things that got fixed. But you still were kind of left with the thought that possibly Deckard could be that sixth replicant, even though at this point on these two movies, they removed that six replicants had escaped to down to five. They literally reworded it so that Bryant said five replicants. One of them was fried at an electric fence, and then there's four walking the earth, which kind of made you think, well, if there's only five, then obviously Deckard isn't in. But maybe Deckard was different in that whole regard. So we never really got an answer on that. With this latest movie, it's obvious that Deckard was not a replicant. He was obviously a human. So that question was answered. But now all of a sudden, the new Blade Runner, Agent K, or Joe, as Joy started calling him, was truly a replicant. 100% was a replicant. And he was a Blade Runner. And so here he is extinguishing his own kind and the struggles that he's going through with his own identity. And when we get to the point of him going through this mystery, what happened to Rachel? What was this miracle? And of course, the miracle was that Rachel, a replicant, gave birth. And was Kay her child? Or was the girl that was making the memories her child? Who was it that was trying to tell the story? One of the things I found interesting, and I don't know if many of you caught it, but when Kay, I think it was Kay, that went and seen the individual that was making the memories with her little camera lens, more or less, the memory she was creating, he experienced when walking out of that room. You have to start asking yourself these questions, and then we have now the whole new thing of Joy. Is she developing her own intelligence? Is she making her own feelings? Or was it all programming? When she died, or was she really feeling the loss of Kay? And these are all huge thoughts you ask yourself in regards to things of life and life after death, and why are we here, and how can we make sure the only sure knowledge in life is death, for without it man would not strive to leave his mark upon the earth. How do we know? All of these things. So that's the Blade Runner movies in a nutshell. If you had to sum them up, that's the Blade Runner movies in a nutshell. Kind of like the Matrix. They're battery cells. All the humans on Earth are battery cells, except for those that aren't. Who was it? I forget the name of the human in the first movie who turned in Neo. to Agent Smith. He's like, yeah, I know this steak is fake. I know it's not real, but I don't care. Just make me forget all this. Put me back into the system. Just plug me back in. He'd rather live the rest of his life without the knowledge of death. Just let him live happy. So since we broke her arm, this will be the one that we're going to change into the other outfit. Another classic line in the first Blade Runner movie is when Roy Batty, the leader of the replicants, as he's looking for God, comes across the creator of eyes, and he says, I'm not the one that's in charge of the termination of your sequences. I just make eyes. I make eyes. He looks at Roy. He goes, you're next to 6. I make your eyes. And Roy says to him, if you could only see what I've seen with your eyes. And that can be examined figuratively or literally. It's just another amazing thought in the process of the whole movie. Each of us have memories we experience in life. You have things that no one else will ever know. And like Roy says, all these memories will be lost. All these moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. And that's acknowledgement of your existence, your being snuffed out from the planet. And I think that's a problem that we as humans in today's society, we don't necessarily know how to handle death properly. We don't. I don't. Most of us don't. But I think one thing we probably should do, no matter when dealing with the loss of a human being, is we should just pause and reflect on that person. Their flame has been extinguished, never to be lit again. And whatever goals and plans that person had, they're done. They can't have any direct involvement in the future anymore, directly. Sure, they may have set something up to ensure that certain things happened, but not directly. It would be an indirect influence on things, right? Couldn't say that they directly caused these things. Yeah, they may have set that up for that to happen in the future in a certain manner, but still they were gone. They wouldn't see those things come into effect. Life is over. And each of us are life like that. So We need to keep that in mind whenever we find out that someone has passed away. We need to remember that they were a human being just like you are, with those same hopes and dreams of one day something happening. And hopefully you attained all of your dreams and hopes before your candle is extinguished. Oh, let's see. So super glue would fix this the quickest, but I think what we really need is model glue for this. Truthfully, the best thing would be to crack this open and find another joint and replace the joint. Crack this open, take this piece out, and take this piece out and put a new joint in there altogether. I don't know if I have a joint for that though. So what I'll probably do then is just glue this together. And maybe not make the elbow movable at all. I think I'll just use super glue for it. CA glue. Oh my God. They made Robin gay? Jeez. Thomas, good morning. How you doing? Superheroes are about good guys, bad guys, and saving the day. Enough of the I'm brave because I'm gay stuff. I like the Lost Boys. Lost Boys. No, The Boys. The Amazon series of superheroes. It's a whole other way of looking at things. Again, my opinion is same thing with Star Wars. Instead of them having to redo characters, Star Wars, it wasn't called A New Hope originally by any of us. The movie we went and saw was called Star Wars. It was not called Star Wars A New Hope. Star Wars says a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So Star Wars doesn't even take place in the Milky Way. Galaxy, which we'll never explore. I mean, when you think about the grandioseness of a galaxy, Star Wars is an entire galaxy. Star Trek takes place in the Milky Way, and they are able to traverse the entire galaxy, although it takes a long time. For instance, in Voyager, they were in the Delta quadrant of the galaxy, and it was taking them like 75 years to travel back to Earth from where they were. So at least they're capable of traveling to this areas to different parts of the galaxy where we're not even able to really travel to Mars with humans yet. That's still a goal. But Star Wars was an entire galaxy a long time ago. If you want to tell a Star Wars story, you have an entire galaxy and many years to tell it in. You don't have to take the 12 characters or however many and start rewriting them. Is that your limited brain capacity? Is that all you can think of when you're given an entire galaxy to write stories about? You can only think of these 12 people. That's your shallow focus. Your blinders are such that you can't think of anyone outside of that box. You're going to have to rewrite Han or Luke or Leia or Palpatine or any of these people to tell your story. You can't tell a story about anyone else in the entire freaking galaxy, which has multiple solar systems, billions of solar systems with habitable planets, people on them. You can't tell your own story within this realm of Star Wars. You have to rewrite that. With superheroes, you can't make your own superhero. You're the creative genius, but you can't make your own superhero. If you have to steal someone else's idea and rewrite it to tell your story, I don't give a damn about your story. If your story is someone else's story that you had to change to tell your story, you're not telling your story. You're plagiarizing, bastardizing it. No, tell your own damn story. For real. Yeah, you know, for instance, Deadpool, straight up ripoff of oh Jesus, what's his name now? Come on, help me out, the DC guy. Total ripoff of Deathstroke, but his own story, his own universe. You know what I mean? A different enough character that it wasn't the same, put into his own universe. And everybody knows he's a ripoff. That was the question about Shazam. The Shazam was a ripoff of Superman. Right? Captain Marvel. I'm not talking about Marvel Comics Captain Marvel. I'm talking about Shazam Captain Marvel. Straight up ripoff of Superman. Only not. Write your own damn story. If you have a story to tell, tell it. But make it yours. Don't take somebody else's story and change it to write your story. Because guess what? It ain't your story. If you have to steal someone else's story to tell your story, then you didn't tell the story. You did not tell the story. I'm looking for my little paper clip that I poke this with. Miles Morales. He was his own character. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's got Spider-Man abilities, but he wasn't Peter Parker. He was his own character. I have no problem with Miles Morales. He tells a good story. Or make an alternate universe Spider-Man if you feel that, if you're incapable of telling your own damn story, and you have to make a Spider-Man and you want him to be your character to tell your story, then put him in an alternate universe. You know, we've all accepted that in these comics, the alternate existences. But don't change an established character unless you can truthfully find documentation someplace. I'm not talking about going and hunting down the creator and say, when you actually created this figure, was this really what you wanted to do, but you didn't? Well, you know, that's why the term canon describes what is and is not part of the timeline or part of the story. If they didn't put it in the canon in the first place, then it isn't canon at all. Star Trek, geez. Speaking of screwing with stuff, canon rewriting the whole story. Again, same thing. They have obviously alternate universes, the mirror universe, totally. The Kelvin universe, right? Just stay with the way it is. If you feel you have a story to tell, write your own characters. Make your own story. Don't go changing things. What's the point? Because you can't tell a story. Because you're a fake. You're a fraud. You have to steal someone else's story to tell yours. Problem with that. There's a problem with that. Super glue dries very quickly, but it's not always the best in gluing plastic together. Model glue is probably really, truthfully, the best. But we don't have time to wait for that, right? And I have no intention of moving this arm. I don't pose my figures anymore because they all get destroyed when you do. If I'm posing them, I'll pose them and then put them right back to static position. I'll just have to remember not to grab her elbow. But no, I see no need in fastening this because we're not seeing any joints. We're not seeing any joint in this figure that would benefit from a seamless Faisen character. So Michelle has no panties. I know I have some panties, some Faisen and gel doll panties. I really should put a pair on her. Let's get her set up. Let's see. Box is this. The T's. These are the store. What is this box? Silver Surfer. So the S's. See if I have one that I've not taken the clothes out of yet. That might have a black outfit. See what color this comes with. Look for black. Let's hope for black. keep Michelle modest. This is the KT004. I've not opened one of these up yet. So I applaud them on their new Superman that they're making, because he's a new character, totally new. He's not rewriting the existing Superman. If they want to explore that, and explore it and enjoy it. Pink. I applaud that. This is a Q09 FPM, F being seamless ankle, non-detachable foot. The 9 is the European shape, big bust. So I'm looking for black panties, pink. May just have to put them on her later. Let's get her set up. Yeah, when's Loki and Sylvie coming out? 2023. Spring of 2023. So during that 18 months that it takes to make a figure, you know, they would be able to know how many of these figures to make, so they couldn't possibly be losing money. You know, so there's no reason why Hot Toys isn't producing these figures that would fill in the rest of these items. They would know exactly how many to make. But how many pre-orders that they sell in 30 days? You know? Simple as that. A year and a half, you have to wait for it? Come on. The skirt is tight. My goodness, it's pulling at the seam there. My goodness. Sheesh. Get her up her butt. Up over her butt. Goodness gracious. This is discoloring this front of this skirt. This is pissing me off. Because it's pulling the fabric apart, dissolving it, and it's basic creation. Sheesh, stressed that way too much. Oh my goodness. Golly, what a pain in the ass. Totally. Look at that. So what I'll probably do is take a magic marker and color that in to do away with that white peeling apart of the text of the fabric. Jeez, that's insane. That's insane. I don't remember whether her shirt was tucked in or not. Was her shirt tucked in to the skirt, or was the shirt over the skirt? Does anyone remember? Thomas, how you doing? Good morning. Superheroes are about good guys. Okay. YS got it. Thanks. Never saw 24.9. I did buy Grumpy Harrison Ford head just because it's Grumpy Harrison Ford. Did he point in the movie? Did he point in the movie? I don't know what that means. Is the Yellow Coat Girl a robot? She's a holographic image. Blade Runner films are absolute masterpieces, and I agree with you. Thank you, Damon. Grumpy Harrison Ford, leave the man alone. Leave me alone. I'm not Han Solo. Oh, right. Love Harrison. I want that head sculpt of Harrison Ford so bad. I wouldn't want to be pissed him off. Because I once in a while on eBay. Here, I come after this. Third-party Blade Runner 24.9 figures on eBay pop up once in a while. Yeah, you've got Deckard's available. K is available. And Wallace is available. I don't remember who else they made besides those characters. Rachel would be great to make, Sean Penn. God, that'd be a great character. Very classic character. $6 million man figure. Bionic Man. Very happy. Same company that made Blade Runner for Venom. Plus, they make Weirdo Tom Cruise Mission Impossible figures. Wear a mask. I'll fire all of you. Yeah, California is a crazy state, and the law was that if you were inside a building and no matter how many people were in it, if you were the only person inside this building by California law during the mask mandate that it was, you had to wear a mask, no matter the size of the building. If they had taken the Astrodome from Houston and plopped it in the middle of California, and you walked into the Astrodome and it was sealed up tight, you had to have a mask on, and you were the only person in there. That was the law at one point. Generic battery, right? Rayovac. I can listen to you speak about Blade Runner for hours upon hours and hours. Thank you. One of my favorite movies. Public's Battery. I wonder if Han Solo dreamed in carbonite. Ooh, that's a good question. It's a good question. If brain activity was happening, then he was dreaming. If there was no brain activity, if he was frozen in carbonite, more or less dead, then no, there would be no dreams. Well, we would assume, right? If there's no brain activity, you can't dream. Oh, right. That would be like a Martin Fry. What was it, Martin Fry? Is that what his name is from Futurama? Frozen in time. I like to think after we pass, someone new is born. You know, nobody knows for fact what happens when we die. Nobody knows for fact. A lot of people have made a lot of claims, and best thing you do is believe what cools your soul. Believe what your soul wants you to believe. I'd like to believe that just like there's near field technology and USB, I mean Bluetooth transmission and the ability to charge your cell phone for the just being close to electrical source, because electricity travels through the airways like radio signals and TV signals, and our brain is full of electrical waves and signals. Maybe it's quite possible that when we die, we release that and we get to just experience living in the ether. Who knows? Maybe that's what happens to us. Maybe our body leaves, our mind or soul leaves the confines of this package that we're in, and we get to mingle up with everybody. Maybe everyone's out there already in this universe. Most religions tell you that when you die, you get a reward. You get to go to a place to live. It's a nice thing to remember, think about, right? Some religions believe you get to start over again until you reach perfection, more or less. But whatever calms your spirit is the best thing. I'm Christian in my beliefs. I believe Jesus Christ. That's my personal belief. He tells us that he is going to prepare mansions for us, right? A place for us in heaven, where those who have trusted in him and believed in him will be rewarded with eternal life in a mansion. Streets made of gold and pearly gates. It's nice to think about those things, isn't it? Why would you want to torment yourself thinking that when you die there's nothing? Nobody knows for fact. Nobody knows for fact. My wife, when she passed away from her cardiac arrest, and she was, the doctors didn't have a definitive time that she was not no brain activity. They didn't know exactly how long she was gone. They said between 10 and 20 minutes. And that's the last stage of trying to recover somebody who's passed away. They will not continue life reviving medical intervention after 20 minutes. If you're without brain activity, without oxygen to the brain, if there's no oxygen and blood to the brain for the first 10 minutes, they're confident that if they are able to restore your life, that you should recover with very little, if any, medical problems. None is actually their best shot. They like to say that you'll come back without any problems at all. After 10 minutes of there not being oxygen to your brain, should they revive you, there will be brain damage, but they never know exactly how much brain damage it will be. What portion of the brain is damaged the most? What will you not recover upon being revived? So they'll continue to attempt to revive a human up to 20 minutes. At 20 minutes, they have all agreed that at that point, the brain damage from being without oxygen to your brain for that period of time would be so severe that you could not be guaranteed a quality of life a quality life. More than likely, there would be a vegetable or for the rest of your life, more or less unable to do anything because the brain damage will be so severe. So my wife was dead for between 10 and 20 minutes. So people that will tell these life after death stories. Um, anyhow, so I'm kind of jumping the gun. So back up then. When she came to, and it took about 2 weeks of her brain to rewire itself for her to be able to have an intelligent conversation with somebody. It was almost like watching a child develop. Um, all the doctors, every specialty doctor that had treated her during that 2 weeks' time, they all asked her the same question: what did you see? Because they're just as human as we are. They're curious what people on the other side see. And there's a lot of different stories and people that write books and go on tours and such with life after death stories of things that they experienced or saw or believed that they experienced or saw on the other side. And they all asked her, and she said nothing. She said she didn't see anything. She don't remember anything. She don't remember the minutes before her death. She don't remember being gone. Just nothing. She just, woke up, went to sleep and woke up and didn't dream, more or less. If you've ever had one of those nights where you don't remember a dream, that was her answer. I told her, I'm like, baby, lie. Come on. Let's go on book tours. You know what to tell people. Everyone tells the same story, more or less. Tunnel of light, surrounded by all their family and friends and loved ones you've ever known. And maybe Jesus himself even came to you and said, you have a new mission in life. Lie. She didn't. She didn't lie. She was very truthful in her relating to you what she experienced when she was dead. And she said she didn't experience anything. So, along that line, I'm extremely speculative of people that will tell these stories that were dead for 40 minutes or a day or 3 days, and they return with absolutely no brain damage and are even better off than they were before. I have a hard time with that. Really do have a hard time with that because I've seen firsthand, the reality of it. And my wife's brain damage that she encountered was whatever portion of it is of your brain that controls all of your muscles throughout your entire body is what was damaged. She ended up just having muscle fatigue or atrophy of her entire body. Every muscle was affected: heart, lungs, everything. Anything that was controlled with an electrical impulse from your brain wasn't getting the strength that it had originally. That was more or less her brain damage. I liken it similar to Lou Gehrig's disease. I forget the ALS, or I forget what the actual name of the disease is. It's commonly referred to as Lou Gehrig disease, the baseball player, Yankees baseball player, right? Who had to leave the game early because he no longer had that. And that's more or less what her brain damage was. That's the portion of her body that was damaged. So we all are curious, even the doctors, the most educated people on the planet, in regards to our physical beings, are curious about what's it like on the other side. Because nobody knows for sure. Nobody knows for sure. There's only one way to find out. And it's been the question of ages. Man has always been curious about this. Mankind. How am I not able to get this belt through this belt loop? Someplace I've misplaced my screwdriver set, by the way, which has my tweezers in there. If this came with a belt, then maybe her shirt was tucked in. Right? Wouldn't that be a good assumption? Palpatine did the nasty and made Rey think about that. Yeah, who was her mother? Who's your daddy? Regular guys see Spider-Man. Do they say he looks at, hey, look at Spider-Man, or do they say, hey, look, it's Miles Morales? They wouldn't know it's Miles. Of course, it would be Spider-Man. Did you see Shatner in that rocket? Yes, I did. Um, I was very happy that William Shatner got to make a trip to space. You know, love him or hate him, he did bring to life a an entire franchise. You know, if it only worked because, in my opinion, Shatner was the captain. 3 years, right? Isn't that how many years it was that the first Star Trek, the original series, was on the air? 3 years. Original production only made 3 seasons. So I was happy that he got to make a trip in Jeff Bezos. What's the name of his rocket ship? They said that that trip cost each of those people that went up $250,000. Would you pay $250,000 for a chance? For a chance, would you pay $250,000 to travel to space and be weightless for the 3 minutes or whatever it was that it happened? I mean, they were actually in outer space. Would it be worth it to you? I mean, I've heard people say, for instance, there have been more humans on the moon than there have been to the bottom of the earth, the bottom of the ocean. There's another place to explore there. But you're definitely part of a very unique or elite club, I would say, to become an astronaut, right? $250,000. Now, I don't know whether or not Shatner paid that. I'm sure he'd have it if he wanted to, or if they just gave him the trip as publicity. I don't know. Now there's, or there used to be, I don't know if there still is, a company that would give you the opportunity to experience weightlessness by traveling in a giant plane that would dive at such a speed that at that moment, from your perception, you're weightless for a couple of minutes. That's how they have done a lot of filming of weightlessness, is in these planes. I would imagine that would be a lot less expensive than $250,000 to go into space if it's just a matter of experiencing weightlessness. But to be able to see the globe from that distance, you know, it's interesting when you watch footage from, for instance, the space shuttle or the International Space Station, and you see the Earth pass underneath you. Sometimes it's just not recognizable. Sometimes you're looking at it and you're like, where are they at now? We recognize a map or a globe because we can see the structures of the continents. But sometimes, when the continent is upside down or at an angle, and you're only seeing a portion of it instead of the entire thing, it's difficult to make out what it is you're actually looking at. So I know they launched out of Texas. Did they land in? Did they land in Texas also? The flight was only like 10 minutes. The entire flight. Very difficult to get this belt through these loops. My goodness. If I had my metal tweezers, it would be easier compared to these plastic ones. Take a whole bunch of tape wrapper and put it in dresses. Is that what they did to Carrie Fisher in '77? Squeeze her into the dress? Collecting head sculpts. Head sculpts sometimes are very expensive. I mean, it's not uncommon to spend $60 or more on a head sculpt, by the way. It's like when I was making Robert Downey Jr. helmets, Tony Stark helmets for the Iron Man figures didn't come with a Tony Stark in the helmet. And someone would say, "How much for that?" And I would tell them, "Geez, $200." It blew their mind. And I'm like, okay, well, first off, I've got to buy the Tony Stark helmet, $60. And I got to buy the Tony Stark head sculpt, $60. So now I'm out $120 just in parts. Then I got to do the work. And it would take maybe 40 hours to disassemble this helmet that was never designed to be opened in the first place. The faceplate was never designed to come off of that helmet in the first place. I'd have to remove the faceplate from that helmet, put a head in it that was never designed to hold a head, and then make the helmet be able to be open and closed with magnets to display Tony inside of it. And I think I did maybe 10 of those myself. Don't remember which all figures I actually did that to. And when I tell somebody $200, they were just shocked. And I'm like, well, hell, I've got $120 just in parts, let alone the Dremel saw bits that would break that I'd have to replace, or the Dremel that I would burn out cutting through stuff. Had to buy a new Dremel. And the magnets that had to be purchased. And then the hours and hours and hours of work involved in it. So I would tell them, okay, I'll tell you what, you send me the head sculpt and the helmet, and I'll do it for $80. Still nobody bought when it got in on it. So I have some very unique head sculpts. Tony Stark, Iron Man suits with head sculpts in them. This belt is super long. All that just to put a belt on. My goodness. I think if you were to go back through my channel, I did a video on each one of the ones that I did. So you can tell then how many of them I made from that, if you're so interested. Let's tuck this shirt in. I don't remember, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say, because we have a belt, then the shirt must have been tucked in. So I'm going to tuck the shirt in. Or attempt to. There's so many, and there's so many, and some are certain points of a movie and their expressions. The head sculpts, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of great ones out there. I mean, in the last 10 years, we've watched head sculpts go from, hardly able even to determine who that person's supposed to be being dead on likenesses of them, so that there's no question about who it is you're looking at. It's amazing. Hot Toys Korea team does the head sculpts for Hot Toys figures, and those artists are just super talented. They've really are able to nail some of these characters now. And pull the skirt up really high. Shove the shirt in her skirt down really far. And then when I pull the skirt down to the place that I want it to reside on her, which is below the knees, because you can't see her knees, then the shirt should be in proper place inside her skirt. I hope. That's my hope, at least. That's my hope, at least. I hate that this material is stretched, this denim out, going over those hips. I really hate that. Really hate that. Seen a Daniel Craig figure, I think, was released also, or up for pre-order. Didn't say released. Announced. That'd be better. So now that What If is done, what's the next television show that they're making for Disney? Marvel television show that they're making for Disney. Anybody heard anything? I always hate waiting for the next season to come out. You know, waiting a year or 10 months or 8 months. And then she gets these boots. Is there a foot peg inside of it, or I got to take it out from? Her shoes. There's one little light. Nope, gotta take it out. Come on. And let me just put it in the leg, and maybe we can press the foot onto the leg. The shoe onto the leg, not the foot. The shoe. They actually say Converse All Star on them. Chuck Taylors. Little tread on the bottom of that, very recognizable tread. I'm waiting for some sort of a pop or confirmation that it's in there. I'm not getting it. This one appears to be on. Nope, neither of them are on. Yeah, that one's on now. Try this one. So anyhow, back to Shazam. When he gave his powers to his brothers and sisters, what were their names? Were these from the comics? Were these was there a moment when these others were there? Were they themselves able to summon that ability again by just saying Shazam or whatever? Or was it only because they touched the staff and did that, which he then broke? Does anybody know? Yeah, I believe her shoes are on her now. So we're good to go as far as that goes. And I think this head sculpt is a little too fat. I don't think her head was that fat. But I know who she's supposed to be. I don't think it looks like her, though. I'll say that. I don't believe I'm going to put the mace in her hand or the metal around her neck. I might, but I don't believe I am going to. I don't remember where the backpack goes, whether it be on this or this. But I'll put the backpack on one of these, I would imagine. So there's our Michelle. Our MJ. Rolling my eyes as I say that. Yeah. I hate that they gave her the name, the nickname MJ. There's no need for that. No need at all. Somebody went out there with a grudge to try to piss somebody off. It's the only reason they did that. There's no need to do that. Just give Peter a new girlfriend. Don't have to try to rewrite history. Just give her a new girlfriend. If you wanted him to have Michelle, if they wanted to have Zendaya as his girlfriend, then make Zendaya his girlfriend in all her glory. She's a beautiful woman. Don't have to call her MJ, though. She could have been anything. She could have been anything that you wanted to make her. But I guess if you can't think of anything, you're not very creative, are you? If you're not creating anything new, then you're not the creator. You're a thief, plagiarist, right? If you couldn't tell your own story, you have to rewrite somebody else's story, then what good are you in that regards? Not much of a creator, are you? Where's the little bag for this? I like to put this in the other little bag that, all this came in. It's here someplace, I'm sure of it. Here we go. You sound like the Predator collecting head sculpts. Yeah, the $250,000 bill from Amazon, right? Jeez. I mean, it's exciting that they've privatized space travel. I mean, we were promised this way back in the day. That's what we're supposed to happen in 1999. We're supposed to be living on the moon by the year 1999. That was the big promise from the 60s. We'd be living on the moon. We'd have moon bases. Those never came about. Let's give MJ a cell phone. These wrist pegs are very loose. Difficult to press into it. There we go. There we go. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning, this afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. I enjoy you guys. I enjoy spending time with you. Mark 9 came with pepper pots. The Mark 9. So you could buy pepper pots by yourself, or if you wanted to get the Mark 9, you had to buy it with pepper pots. They didn't sell the Mark 9 by itself, but they sold Pepper by herself. But they put the Mark 9 with her, as they were claiming that that was the suit that she used to more or less destroy Killian. But that's not the case. And you diehard Iron Man experts know that. Those of you who don't know that, it was actually the Mark 8 that she used. And the main difference between those two is the from the knee down. From the knee down, the Mark 8 has Silver Centurion legs. I don't remember about the pelvis, but for more or less from the waist up, it's the Mark 7. The Mark 9 and Mark 8 are very similar. It's the bottom portion of the legs that's different. And there's in the scene where the suit is flying towards you, in the beginning of the introduction of the suit to the scene, you can see at that moment that the bottom of the legs are the Silver Centurion legs, which is not the Mark 9. The Mark 9 has the legs from the Mark 17 Heartbreaker. So she was not the Mark 9 that she used, it was the Mark 8, and we'd never received a Mark 8. Save on, Mason. How you doing, man? You're getting that, Sylvia. So, wow. Save on. That's big. That's big news. That's big news, actually. Savon is our villains collector, and he normally doesn't buy third party. So it's funny that Sylvie is a villain, right? And Loki kind of is an anti-hero. He thinks he's a good guy, right? He knows he's mischievous, but he doesn't think of himself as bad. He just thinks of himself as mischievous, right? Sylvie, the same thing. So, awesome, awesome save on. Awesome. MJ. She is MJ. I hate that, though. I hate it. I really do hate that. I really do hate that. I say it with bitterness as I say it. Not for Zendaya, but for the writers or creators of that whole thing. Sheesh. Oh, Venom, by the way, if you guys hadn't seen it, I don't know what the hell your problem is. But at the end of Venom, so we can talk about this now because it's been out for 2 weeks, and if you haven't seen it by now, you're not a true fan of it anyhow, and you've probably already seen this as it was. Venom is being brought over into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Tom Hardy's Venom is joining Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Tom Holland. So I don't know whether or not we'll see him in No Way Home, which comes out, I think, in December, right? Or whether this is for later on down the road with another Venom story, because we also have Toxin that kind of makes an appearance. So I don't know whether or not they're planning on bringing that in there, or if now that they're bringing the MCU universe and such, to the and I say the MCU, okay? So Tom Holland, owned by Sony, that Spider-Man existed first in the MCU, which Sony doesn't make MCU stories, so they kind of did I don't know, what would you say, a compromise or a hybrid or whatever. They let Peter reside there because obviously the MCU is a money maker and Sony's not stupid. So it now looks like when they made Venom, they totally was outside of the MCU, and now he is in the MCU, and that was the end credit scene of what happened at Venom. So excited about that, to see how that goes. We could talk about that now because the movie's been out long enough that if you haven't seen it in the theaters, then either A, you already know this, what the ending credit scene was, or B, you're not a fan enough to even understand what I'm talking about. Whichever the case is. So I'm excited about that. I would really like to see an explanation of the Venom creation, because according to the comics, he had to go through Spider-Man. And according to Deadpool's comics, he went through Deadpool first. And now that Fox is owned by Disney, meaning Deadpool as well, it'd be interesting to see how they run all that. If they decide to use that storyline, that could be a very interesting Venom story. The short period that Venom lived with Deadpool. Right? That was evidently his first host body that we know of, was Deadpool. And Deadpool returned him to the machine in Secret Wars. And then that's when Peter got him. And that's where the black suit came from. And Venom always had a white spider on his chest. A lot of story there that they kind of missed out on. So it'll be interesting to see how they decide to tell that story now that they've brought Venom into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I was very pleased to see that. That was good news as far as I was concerned. So thank you guys for sticking around. If you'd like to send me a tip, I appreciate that. Throw me $1. www.patreon.com/Siri Emerald, SIRIEMERALD, all one word. And just shoot me $1. It doesn't mean anything. You're not paying for figures. It just means something to me. It allows me to recognize that you really do enjoy what I'm doing. And if you don't have $1, that's fine. You don't have to send anything. I mean, I love spending the time with you guys. But it's just a little tip letting me know that you guys enjoy what I'm doing. So other than that, I'll be watching, like I said, Birds of Prey this week. I've got Dune and the Eternals coming up in the theaters. Free Guy now is able to be seen on streaming devices, I believe, and DVD. So I thought that was a really good, cute movie, especially if you like Ryan Reynolds. It's definitely a Ryan Reynolds movie, 100% a Ryan Reynolds movie. It's comedic and it's fun. So go check that out if you've not. And I guess that's all I got for you guys. Thank you very much for joining me. And I'm here every Saturday, or I try to be. And I will see you all next week. Love you guys. Peace. See you on the next video.